that many of the things we have been going through will improve under your leadership. That's the reason why I'm nominated.
Thank you, Mr. Costello. Anyone else? Okay, so since Ms. Ball has declined her nomination, we have Dr. Green. I will ask Mr. Hernandez to do the roll, so it's either an aye or a nay.
Mr. Anella,
Aye.
Ms. Ball. Aye. Mr. Costello,
No.
Dr. Green.
Aye.
Ms. Lee. Aye. Ms. McCullough. Aye. Ms. Wesley.
Aye.
Okay, congratulations, President Green. Good luck. Okay. Happy New Year.
Good luck,
too.
Dr. Green.
Okay, so now we are on to the election of Vice President. Are there any nominations for Vice President this evening?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Stephanie Ball as Vice President of the School Board Trustees for South Bend School Corporation.
I second that.
Okay, so we've got a motion for Ms. Ball with a second from Mr. Costello. Any other nominations at this time? Okay, seeing none, it's an aye or a nay for Ms. Ball. Roll please, Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. Anella,
Aye.
Ms. Ball. Aye. Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green.
Aye.
Ms. Lee. Aye. Ms. McCullough. Aye. Ms. Wesley.
Aye.
Okay, congratulations, Vice President Ball. And now we are on to election of secretary. Do we have a nomination for secretary? Yes,
I'd
Mr.
like to
Costello.
nominate Mrs. McCullough for secretary.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Ms. Ball. Do we have any other?
I'd like to nominate Kate Lee as Secretary.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Kate Lee. Do we have a second for Ms. Lee?
Ball, second. I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Ball. So we have Ms. McCullough and Ms. Lee. Any other nominations? Okay, Mr. Hernandez, I will ask for the roll. So everyone, you will say either McCullough or Lee. And whoever gets the majority will be the secretary.
Mr. Anella,
Lee.
Ms. Ball. Lee. Mr. Costello,
Mrs. McCullough.
Dr. Green,
Lee.
Ms. Lee,
Really awkward. Lee.
Ms. McCullough,
McCullough.
Ms. Wesley.
Lee.
Okay, Ms. Lee has it 5-2. So congratulations on being elected secretary. So for this year, we have our board officers, Dr. Stuart Green, Vice President Stephanie Ball, and Secretary Ms. Kate Lee. So congratulations to all of you. Okay, so happy to not have my name on that list again. Okay, appointment of treasurer. It is recommended that Karima Fowler, Assistant Superintendent of Business and Finance, be appointed Treasurer of South Bend Community School Corporation, and Anaf Tamid, Budget Director, as Deputy Treasurer. Both the Treasurer and Deputy Treasurer are bonded in the amount of $300,000 each. Do we have a motion to appoint them as Treasurer and Deputy Treasurer?
Second.
Moved by Dr. Green, seconded by Ms. Lee. Any discussion on the appointment?
Question.
Yes, Ms. McCullough.
I believe that we should do a search for a treasurer, certified accountant.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, seeing none, roll please.
Mr. Anella,
Aye.
Ms. Ball,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. McCullough,
Nay.
Ms. Wesley.
Aye.
Okay, we now have a treasurer and a deputy treasurer. Now we are on to appointments to committees and various organizations. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees authorize the president to appoint individual board members to any necessary committees or as representatives to various organizations. Do we have a motion to authorize the president?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Ball, seconded by Ms. Wesley. Any discussion on the authorization? Yes, Ms. Ball.
Just a question, how soon will the appointments take place? What's our timeline on that? Is that?
Generally, the president will do it as quickly as possible. Hopefully, by the next board meeting, we'll have the appointments.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. McCullough.
I put my name in for a couple, for an office on one of the boards. And so how soon do I expect the response to that question?
Within the week.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, roll please, Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. Anella,
Aye.
Ms. Ball,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. McCullough,
Aye.
Ms. Wesley.
Aye.
Okay, Dr. Green, you are authorized to make appointments. Now we are on to appointment of legislative liaison. It's recommended the Board of School Trustees appoint a board member as legislative liaison to the Indiana School Board Association. So this is a board appointment. So we have any nominations for liaison?
I nominate Kaylee.
We have a motion for Kate. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Wesley. Any other nominations? Okay, hearing none, it's an aye or a nay. Mr. Hernandez, roll please.
Mr. Anella,
Aye.
Ms. Ball,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. McCullough,
Aye.
Ms. Wesley.
Aye.
Okay, congratulations, Ms. Lee, on being the legislative liaison for the South Bend School Board this year. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our organizational meeting. And so for the final time, I get to adjourn the meeting, and I'm very happy about that. So the organizational meeting is adjourned, and we will now go to our regular meeting with chaired by President Green.
Welcome, everyone, and good evening. Thanks for that. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve as president of the board and hope to continue John's legacy. He has provided important leadership with resolve, humor, grace, and optimism during the 5 years I've served on the board, a period that has posed a great many challenges. With that said, I'd like to welcome you to this first meeting of the SBCSC Board of Trustees on this day, January 8th, 2024. This meeting follows our organizational meeting, which started at 5:30 here at Edison Middle School. In the meeting, the board elected new officers for those who are just coming to us, appointed a treasurer, an assistant treasurer, a legislative liaison, as well as new officers and a liaison to the Indiana School Boards Association. I should mention that we had a closed session that began at 3 o'clock. I am now calling this meeting to order. And I'll ask Ms. Hernandez to do the roll call, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Anella, Mr. John Anella,
Here.
Ms. Stephanie Ball,
Present.
Mr. Mark Costello,
Present.
Dr. Sir Green,
Here.
Ms. Kate Lee,
Here.
Ms. Jeanette McCullough,
Present.
Ms. Leslie Wesley.
Present.
Well, clearly we have a quorum, and we can now move on to the adoption of the agenda. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees adopt the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Ms. Hernandez, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Anella,
Aye.
Ms. Ball,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. McCullough,
Aye.
Ms. Wesley.
Aye.
The motion to approve the agenda has passed unanimously. Now it's time for recognitions and the superintendent announcements. So it's over to you, Dr. Cooley.
Thank you, President Green. And tonight, on behalf of my team and I want to say thank you, Mr. Anella. Thank you for your board chairmanship for the past 5 years. Thank you for handling the issues that you've handled with wisdom and with grace. Thank you for carrying a lot of heavy water. And my team and I are better at what we do because of your leadership. So thank you very much. We want to begin with a moment of silence. First, the passing of one of our students, Mia Villanueva Sir Vera Bruner, several of our staff members over the holiday, Ms. Phyllis Kaufman, Joni Williamson, Mr. Ron Showalter, and Dr. William Thomas. So if you please join me in a moment of silence for the student, their family, and our former staff members. Thank you. And now I'd like to ask our board secretary, Ms. Kate Lee, if she would read our Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day proclamation.
Whereas January 15th, 2024 marks the observance of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. federal holiday. And whereas Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. devoted his life to advancing equality, social justice, and opportunity for all, and challenged all Americans to participate in the never-ending work of building a more perfect union. And whereas celebrating Reverend Dr. King's life and spirit through community-wide recognition and service on the holiday is an appropriate way to honor Reverend Dr. King, bringing our citizens together and strengthening our communities and nation. And whereas it is appropriate for the South Bend Community School Corporation to support a community celebration in observance of the holiday honoring Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And whereas each of us can and must contribute to making our communities better with increased opportunity for all of our citizens. And whereas the South Bend Community School Corporation urges all people to join and pay tribute to the life and works of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and apply his life and teachings of service to inspire others to serve and remember his spirit of community. Now, therefore, we, the South Bend Community School Corporation, Board of School Trustees, do hereby proclaim January 15th, 2024 as Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day in South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you, Secretary Lee. January is also School Board Appreciation Month, and on behalf of my team and I, we want to say thank you for your public service. Thank you for the decisions you make on behalf of our students. Thank you for the oversight of the district that you provide. And I also want to thank Chartwells, who's given you the gift baskets this evening in acknowledging your service to the district. So thank you all for your service, and thank you for your service to our students. And now I see Mr. Henderson is here, and Mr. Henderson is going to come and introduce us to one of two in the district, National Board Certified Teachers. Is that correct? Okay, you had to look like I had said the wrong thing, but Mr. Henderson, thanks for being here, and thanks for your great leadership.
No problem. Thank you, sir. Good evening, President Dr. Green, Vice President Ball, Dr. Cumming, Board of Trustees. Again, it is an honor to be able to stand before you all and just continue to highlight the amazing things that's happening in South Bend. The National Board Certification is one of the most respected professional certifications available to education and provides numerous benefits to our teachers, students, and our schools. Raleigh High School special education teacher, Ms. Heidi Darren, was awarded this prestigious award on Saturday, December 9th, 2023. Ms. Darren has dedicated her time to educating students for 15 years, 4 years at Raleigh High School, where she has just made tremendous gains and just continue to put love on our students. Ms. Darren is one of two in the South Bend Community School Corporation to be honored as a National Board Certified Teacher and the 12th to receive this certification as a special education teacher. Tonight, I would like to ask the school board and our listening audience to help me give Ms. Darren a round of applause for her commitment to being a lifelong learner. Ms. Darren. So she's going to give me, but Ms. Darren, would you like to say any words?
And prepare me. I just wanted to thank the district for the opportunity. It's been such an amazing journey through the National Board Certification process. It was really great, especially after COVID, to have the time to really reflect on my teaching practice and just take that deep dive with my students. So it's been great. I hope more teachers do it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I also want to say that it was sponsored by the Teacher School Leader Grant. I also want to say that you said about reflection. And if I understand correctly, National Board Certification is about reflecting on your practice. And so thank you for the enormous amount of work that you did in order to do that. Congratulations. And I see Mr. Henderson, and now let's get Mr. Seitz. And I do want to say thank you to former President of Purdue, Mr. Mitch Daniels. In a conversation in South Bend, he said, we need to get more of our students to Purdue. And after that conversation, he connected the district to the Posse Foundation. And since that time, the district has 4 of our students that are Posse members that are at Purdue. They're fully funded, and it's because of President Daniels that we're here tonight. It's highly competitive. 4% of the students who apply are awarded. And so we were talking today, whether it be our graduation rates, our students at Stanford, our students who are choosing top tier colleges, universities. Tonight, the students that you'll hear who've been awarded the Posse Scholarship rank among the highest in America. So the district is doing really good things. So Mr. Henderson, I'll let you introduce yours, and then Mr. Seitz, yours as well.
Thank you. So as Dr. Cumming was speaking about the Posse, I want to just go into a little bit about what the Posse is and what it has done for South Bend, and also just giving our students the opportunity to continue on going to secondary education. The Posse Scholarship is a highly esteemed and unique scholarship program that aims to support and empower high-achieving students from diverse backgrounds. Founded in 1989, Deborah Bile was the Posse founder, has successfully provided resources and opportunity for thousands of scholars to attend some of the top colleges and universities in the United States. The concept behind the Posse Scholarship was based on an idea that sending a group, quote, posse, of students together to a college will increase their chance of success. Each year, approximately 10 students are selected from various cities across the country to form a posse. The students undergo an intensive training process before heading off to college that is a tight-knit group, providing each of them with academic, emotional, and social support through their college journey. One of the most significant benefits of being a Posse Scholar is receiving a full tuition scholarship to one of the partner institutions. This includes over 60 prestigious colleges and universities such as Vanderbilt, Cornell, and Purdue, along with many others. This year, Raleigh High School Posse recipient is Marcus Henderson. Marcus is a member of the Student Council, RSAC, which is Raleigh High School Athletic Student Committee, National Honor Society, a 4-year letterman in football, a 2-year letterman in baseball, and 1-year letterman in track and field, while maintaining over a 4.0 GPA. I would like to take this opportunity for the listening audience and our school board to help me applaud and recognize Marcus Henderson as he will be attending Purdue University as a Posse Scholar. I was told to say a bunch of negative things about him, Mr. Seitz, but there's not much that I can say. I'm very proud. So Marcus Henderson.
If y'all would hang out there for a second. Marcus, do you want to say anything?
Thank you.
If you'll both hang out there, then we'll take pictures in a second. And now the amazing principal of Adams, Mr. Seitz.
Yes, thank you, School Board President, Dr. Green, Superintendent Cummings, the entire board. We appreciate coming out tonight. We have another young individual from South Bend that we'd like to speak about. Mr. Henderson already spoke about the Posse Scholarship, so I won't repeat that information. But Adams High School is very proud to announce that Emiliano Gomez is also a Posse Scholar. M is a top 20 in his class with a 4.26 GPA that actually just got updated at 331. We hit the button after school today to roll the grades over. He is a National Merit semi-finalist. We'll find out about National Merit finalist here in the spring. He's a member of the cross country, the track team, National Honor Society, Quiz Bowl as well, right? Quiz Bowl, which we were undefeated this fall season, so we're excited with that too. And I think too, most importantly, is the type of person that he is. And this is from a personal experience. As some of you may know, my freshman son was a cross country. He ran cross country. Had never run before in his life. And it was students, young men like Emiliano that took him under his wing and pushed him and made him stronger. And now he wants to, be a leader like M is. So I thank him on a personal level for that as well. So Emiliano Gomez, thank you. Thank you.
So now if our principals and students would come up, we'll take a picture. Ms. Darren, we don't want to forget you. If you'll also make your way up, we'd like to take a photo with you as well. Yes. The others. Marcus, congratulations. We're really proud of you.
Hey, great
Really,
job.
congratulations. We're really proud of you. Congratulations.
Congratulations. I remember you were baby. I remember.
Great job.
Hold up. Go on the end.
I'm sorry.
No, no, you're good. You stay right there. I'll just stand behind you. Parents okay? All right, good, thank you. Thank you. Ms. Darren and Mr. Henderson. Oh, we have one more, sorry.
Yeah, Heidi.
Congratulations.
Hey, congratulations. Nice job.
Nice job. Now you want. Thank you, congratulations. Thank you, everyone. And tonight, I would be remiss if I did not mention that on Saturday, Indiana's longest serving teacher and Marshall third grade reading instructor, Miss Bev Beck, turned 92. So we want to say happy birthday to Miss Beck. Congratulations on your 92nd birthday. We're announcing graduation dates. I'll tell everyone here and who's listening, it'll be official on Friday with Todd Squad. And so we're excited about that. Graduation dates this year, it'll be at the Notre Dame Compton Ice Arena. Thursday, June 6th will be Adams at 6 p.m. Friday, June 7 will be Washington High School at 5 p.m. Rise Up Academy, South Bend Virtual School will be that same day at 7:30. Saturday, June 8, Riley High School at 10 a.m. and Clay High School will be at 1 p.m. And then our next board meeting will be Monday, January 22nd in the administration building. And Dr. Green, that is the end of recognitions and superintendent announcements.
Thank you, Dr. Cummings. So now we're on to this evening's academic focus. And I see Ms. Robinson coming to the podium.
Ms. Robinson, Dr. Adams, and every high school principal we have, I believe.
Mr. Seitz.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Thank you, Dr. Adams. Thank you to our principals. And before they begin, we have already, I couldn't wait. We have already this evening announced our high school graduation rates publicly, but I want to say thank you. And I want to say, before they go into how they did this, I want to do the first slide and I wanted to talk about focus. A year ago, we decided that we were going to focus on high school graduation rates. What does that mean? It meant that once a month, me and all the principals who are here and Ms. Robinson and Dr. Adams would meet. They would create a spreadsheet of every single student they had and all those students' credits, and we would go child by child through the credits they had. What did we discover during that time? We discovered there were homeless students that needed extra support. We discovered there were students who were so far behind, we were going to have to figure out ways like Saturday school and mini masters to get them over the line. But the teachers who went door to door, the counselors, the principals who knocked on doors, made sure students could come to school on Saturdays and work even when they weren't getting paid. I want to say thank you. While I have nothing to do with graduation rates, the teachers, the counselors, and these principals, you did this work. And tonight, I'm not going to do it here, but tonight, the district's going to unroll the highest graduation rate they've had in nearly 10 years. And it's because of your hard work. Tonight, we raised the bar, and next year, we're going to be at the state average. And so I'm grateful for the work you started last year, the work you do now, all the work you did in summer, where we talked every 3 weeks, then every 2, then every week, and then every day to get your students across the line. But I wanted to start the presentation by saying thank you. You could not have done it without you and your teams. And so, Ms. Robinson, I'll let you begin, but I'm so proud of the teachers and the counselors and the principals who did the graduation rate presentation that you're about to do tonight. So congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Cummings. Good evening, President Dr. Green, and School Board of Trustees and Dr. Cummings. We are so excited about this presentation to share the great work that is not only taken in our high schools, but in all of our schools in South Bend that leads up to our graduation rates. Want to start, like Dr. Cummings said, thanking everybody that's here with me today. This was not a presentation that I made by myself, but it was definitely collaborative. We all got together and we wanted to make sure that we shared up-to-date information with the board and the community with what's taking place in our high schools and how did we get here to improve our graduation rates. And so, as Dr. Cummings said, our graduation rates are official now. So the state, as you can see on the chart that's on the slide, in 2022, the state average was 86.65, and then it moved up to 88.98 in 2023, which was added 2.3%. And so, in looking at South Bend, we were at a 75.1% graduation rate in 2022, and we moved up to 84.7%, which is a 9.6 increase. And I just think that's tremendous. But I have to be honest with you all, that was not easy. That was a lot of hard work. As Dr. Cummings said, we went kid by kid, and we tried to just do anything and everything that we can do to get our graduation rates up. And so when we disaggregated this data, one thing that we noticed is that each one of our high schools had an increase last school year. As you can see, Adams had a 2.3% increase. Clay High School had 11.78%. Riley 2.4, Rise Up Academy 37.7, South Bend Virtual School 6.96, and Washington High School 3.1. So that is just awesome to see all of our high schools increasing their graduation rate. And then we broke it down by subgroups. So Indiana, the non-waiver, it went up to 84.92%, and that's a difference of 4.31. And ours went up by 17.13, which is great. Our kids were not needing waivers. They were graduating with all the requirements that were necessary to graduate. And as you can see, in our white students, that was an increase in 10.91, African-American, 15.98%, Hispanic, 5.61, multiracial, it was kind of even, but it's like 0.14. Our special education students increased 24.57, and our English language learner students increased 7.46. So that's also tremendous news. As we focus on equity in South Bend schools, we are looking at our subgroups to make sure that we are meeting the needs of all of our subgroups and all of our students. And so today's outcome, we wanted to just come together to inform the community of the 4-year journey that our students take to complete their graduation requirements. We also wanted to inform the community of new and existing graduation pathways and share some current South Bend graduation interventions and supports, because we have changed those over time, and we're excited to share those with you today. Now I will have my colleague Sean take it away.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Right after the pandemic, the state rolled out a new graduation requirement. Prior to the pandemic, we used to have to pass the I-STEP exam in order to receive your high school diploma. But now we have these items that's called bucket. So there's three different buckets up under the pathway. You have the high school diploma, you have employability skills, and then you have post-secondary or ready competency. So in bucket one, when we're looking at students and we're talking about where they are academically, in bucket one, there's only 4 different types of diplomas that a scholar can receive. Each scholar come in already trying to get the core 40. Each scholar is enrolled in earning a core 40 diploma. But then you have academic honors, technical honors, and a general diploma. So now our scholars just need to get one of those diplomas in order to meet the requirements for bucket one. When you look at bucket two is project-based, service-based, and work-based learning. So we as a committee back prior to this being rolled out, started looking at what are some things that we can do for students to help them meet these requirements and under project-based, service-based, and work-based. So project-based is students coming up with an idea or creating a project, presenting it, meeting the expectations or the guidelines for that and being signed off on that. Service-based, also students doing something within the community. They want to do a blood drive for their school. They want to participate in any type of extracurricular activities. Students that have work, employability skills. Again, these students are to go and submit this to their employer. Their employer would then sign off on that they've met all of the requirements that meets for them to meet that bucket two. Now, bucket three, again, if you go back to bucket one, you have the academic and the technical honors. If you earn academic or technical honors, it automatically pushes you down to bucket three as well. So you can earn bucket one and bucket three at the same time. But here goes some of the things that we look for within that. What high school diploma did you receive? Again, that academic or technical honors. What's a benchmark that you received on your ACT or SAT? What type of industry certification did you receive? And that's where career technical education come in, where a lot of our students are enrolled in our career or CTE programs where they are advancing. Being a part of internships, being a part of the CTE program, being a part of IB and earning dual credit, enrolled in AP courses, and then also just creating a local creative pathway. So that's how a student can earn a high school diploma when you're checking off one of the 3 of the buckets.
So there was a lot of controversy when Graduation Pathways came about. I remember going down to a state board of education meeting and they were setting different cut scores. And the first 2021 and 2022, that cohort year was essentially a student could use the pathway but didn't have to. So those students were still under the I-STEP. This last graduating class of 2023, all of those students had to graduate with the pathway. There was no more I-STEP requirement for that graduating class. And school counselors and principals found over those first 2 years in 21-22 that the first 2 buckets, I don't want to say they were easy because it's a challenge, but students really stubbed their toes on the 3rd bucket, where you're demonstrating those post-secondary readiness, the honors diploma, the ACT, the SAT. And so what we tried to do is we tried to come up with as many different options for students because we really felt that unfortunately, when the state board made a lot of these options, they weren't thinking about inner city schools. They were thinking about certain schools in their neighborhoods, in their districts, in their areas. And so what we have done over the past couple of years is we've worked then to create other options for our students so it doesn't have to just be AP testing. It doesn't have to just be IB testing. And so we've done a couple of things. One is we've worked extremely hard to increase our CTE offerings within our pathways there. And so all of the students that are involved in our CTE programming, that is a way that they can fulfill their bucket 3. We call them buckets. We have also worked extremely hard to look at locally created pathways. I know that the Clay High School group is working on an art pathway that students can use. We have also begun to look at a pathway for our E&L students. We got that this year from going down to the state IASP conference. And so we're again working on those employability skills through these different pathways. And so I want to show you or kind of go back to the the 4th slide. Can you do that, Mrs. Robinson, real quick? And if you look at what to put a positive spin on graduation pathways, because they were controversy in the beginning, we have increased the non-waiver graduation rate by 17% in our school district. And so that's students that are completing these pathways, where before that would have been students that had to pass a single test. So we've taken a single test and now replaced it with pathways. And so it's been a real positive in terms of, for us, and quite frankly, across the state, as the entire state is up with the percentage of non-waiver graduates.
And in order to further enhance what Dr. Cummings mentioned as far as going student by student, line by line, we employ what's called graduation coaches within our building, which is an addition to the guidance counselors, the school counselors that we have. So with those particular graduation coaches, they are on a volunteer basis, whether it is teachers, coaches, administrators, all the way down to our SSC folks that have a relationship with our particular students, where they have firsthand knowledge of how to motivate our students. They provide comprehensive like intervention plans in order to help those students. One of the ways is that if you are on Power School right now, you can look at the graduation progress plan of students, that you can actually see. If I'm a teacher and I don't have the training of a guidance counselor, I can actually look at that progress plan to show if there's a check mark, if a student is missing 1 or 2 classes. And me as a teacher or a mentor or anyone that has firsthand investment in those students can actually say, hey, I need you to go talk to your guidance counselor about X, Y, and Z to make sure that you're on the right track. And if you need help, let me point you in the right direction, whether that is after school tutoring, if there's a home visit that is needed based off something that they caught early on. As Dr. Cummings mentioned, we found out a lot of students, unfortunately, were homeless. But because that particular teacher, that mentor has a personal relationship with that student, we're able to get that firsthand knowledge and act quickly on trying to find ways to help out that student. We also have created other interventions by providing training to our particular mentors, our teachers, our coaches, who are helping out in the academic realm, whether it is a PowerPoint training on how to look at certain data points in order to further enhance the educational stamina of our students, whether that is just being a listening ear. At many of our schools, we have started a homeroom where students are able to go to their particular homeroom teacher, and that homeroom teacher can actually guide them in what it is that they need to know, and further point those students off to their guidance counselors and or administrators and or whoever has that personal interest in those students. We try to make sure that we keep that number small, between 10 to 15 students per mentor, in order to ensure that the work that is being done is done with fidelity, in order to make sure that not one teacher is overwhelmed or any mentor is overwhelmed with their already full capacity. We also monthly meet with Dr. Cummings, Ms. Robinson, and all the other DSLs regarding our graduation rate. We have even taken that a step further as high school principals, that once a month, and for some of us twice a month, meet with our guidance counselors in order to go line by line, student by student, not just with the senior class, but with every single student going all the way down to the freshman class, in order to make sure that we're not just being reactive, but proactive to a lot of things, to see if we could try to catch any early interventions to make sure that we are growing, not just at our graduation rates, but academically as well.
Okay, principals also hold bi-weekly or monthly meetings with school counselors to go over graduation data for each student in their particular cohort, as Mr. Robinson said. We also have partnerships with organizations such as the South Bend Excel Center to help with students who are behind in credits and over the age of 18. That's just an additional intervention that we have found in South Bend. We have parent nights to discuss their students' graduation status. And that's something that takes place in all of our high schools. And our high school principals do a great job at having town hall meetings with students once or twice a quarter to go over academic expectation and or other items that relate to graduation. So we want to make sure that not only the parents are informed and the teachers, but we want to make sure that students know exactly where they are as well. And so we try to do a good job at making sure everyone knows where they are and what's needed for graduation.
One tool that we do use the Edmentum program through Plato. Each of these courses are standard with the IDOE. These are courses that students take after they've failed a course. So students do not take this course for the first time. So you may have a freshman, or I'm sorry, a junior or senior that is behind on credits. They took a class freshman year, sophomore year, they failed it. They have opportunities after school within our 9th hour programs to make up those credits. We also have an opportunity built into the school day where students work with a teacher on their Plato work as well. If you go to the next slide, this is an example of a daily usage report. So every single class that a student takes on Plato, this report can be generated and is generated. And what we do with that is, and this is signed off on by the teacher that's administering the Plato class, and then signed off on the director of counseling and the school principal. And so each individual student, you can see how much time they've spent, you can see what work they've done, and their grades that they've gotten on each individual section within the Plato program. The next slide discusses our non-negotiables of what we call with our Plato students. And so these are just some very basic instances, very basic things that students and teachers must do whenever they are enrolled with a Plato course or teaching a student who is involved in a Plato course. And so, I mean, I can read through them. Again, you know, logging on, being prepared, coming to class on time, making sure the Chromebooks charge, just very basic things that we want our students to be able to do. The one thing too that our teachers do, if the students miss more than 2 days in a row, they're calling home. We're making sure that we're following up. Hey, we haven't seen your student here at 9th hour. We haven't seen your student here in the Plato class. So we want to make sure that we're getting that communication with the parents. I think that that's the biggest thing in anything that we do is our communication with the students and with parents. And, you know, I think we all believe, and I definitely believe that all parents want their students to do well. We just have to make sure that we're communicating with them so they understand exactly what needs to be done for their student to graduate. You know, we sit down and we meet with our students in our town hall meetings. And one of the things that we talk about is the difference between a high school diploma and if you don't earn a high school diploma. And without inflation, I'm not smart enough to figure out inflation, so I don't want to do that. But a high school diploma right now, we have the kids do an exercise, is worth about $600,000 in earnings over the course of your lifetime, as opposed to a student who doesn't earn a high school diploma. And then you go into post-secondary, that number gets even larger. So, you know, we always hit that home with how important this is for our students. We also are subject to audits. Every 3 to 4 years, the IDOE requires each high school to complete a mandatory audit. Adams High School just completed the audit in the fall of 2023 for last year's graduating class. What you have to do is you have to submit documentation for every single student that has withdrawn to a school that is not in the state of Indiana. Any student who withdraws to another state or to another school in the state of Indiana that's picked up by that school, they come off of your cohort. The IDOE can see that because they went state to state. The IDOE cannot see transfers, and I've given some other examples, transfers out of state, students who have gone to homeschool, students who have unfortunately have deceased or incarcerated, are missing students, foreign exchange students. So all of that, we are responsible for documenting all of that information and then turning that into the IDOE. And if you do not have the proper documentation, they add that student back to your cohort. So that can drastically change a graduation rate if you're going to increase your denominator with that and you don't increase the numerator. when we're talking about graduation rates. And so each school has one individual in charge of that, that they work with the guidance department, counseling department, I should say, and the student management office. So you've got one person in charge, and then you've got, 5 or 6 different other individuals that are involved with that as well.
Thanks, Jim. All right, our next part is a new intervention that we tried this year that was brought to us by Dr. Adams. She submitted a proposal on doing mini-mesters, and we just completed our first mini-mester. And I'm gonna let her describe it because I don't want to steal her thunder, but it's great news to share. And it's a tier 3 intervention for kids who need to recover some credits and are trying to get back on track to graduate. And we wanted to start out with our seniors because they're our priorities. But I'll have Dr. Adams share that.
So we had our credit deficient seniors, and we were very intentional about our Plato courses that we selected for that we could offer for them. So the school counselors, administrators, and we looked at the data on where our students could be most successful in completing Plato courses over the winter break. And so we call it a mini-mester. And so they had an instructor that was assigned to them. So a teacher was assigned to them. So they had about 35 students, an instructor, and they literally gave them the expectation of you had to be on your Plato class and logged in and working on that on a daily basis in order to get at least 1 credit completed for your Plato course. In order to take the exam, they had to use their Google, they had to turn on their cameras, and they had to do a view of what was going on in the classroom, in the room that they were taking their test in, and they were monitored the entire time while they were taking their test for the Plato courses. At this time, our data is astronomically great. It surpassed what I was expecting it to pass, and we had over 90 credits. We had 90 credits received over this 2-week mini-mester. So it is amazing. So those are students, our senior students that are now 1 credit higher or more, because we did have a student that got 3 credits over the Plato over this time frame, that are closer to graduating, and they're on track. So they're getting closer to being on track. So they may not have to do summer school if they continue to move forward and pass all their classes that they need to pass this semester. But this is a tier 3 intervention. So this is where our students they can learn, but they may need some additional supports and additional interventions to get them there. And so this is another intervention that we're using to increase the academics of our students and prepare them for college, career, and life readiness. So this is superb. I just want to let you guys know that this is flat out amazing to get that many credits going. Our students, our teachers, they worked hard over this 2-week winter break. They did an exceptional job, and I am so super proud of them. Like, there was progress monitoring that happened. So when they weren't logged in and they weren't making percentage gains and things, the teachers were contacting the parents and the students every 2 to 3 days just to make sure that they were knowing that they need to be on and they were making the progress that they needed to in order to obtain their credits.
Thank you. And I just think that that goes to show you how hard and our teachers work and how passionate they are to give up their winter break to support students. We know that all kids, don't need the same amount of support. Some people need additional supports. And so I'm just thankful for Dr. Adams for bringing that to South Bend. But I also wanted to share too, something different that we're doing this year as well is our students with IEPs and ILPs. And so last year when we met for graduation rates, we're talking about how DSLs, myself, Dr. Cummins, how we meet with principals. But this year we have invited Rachel Anders from curriculum. We have invited Tanya Brewer from special ed, Julia Cordova Gurule from bilingual, because we think that, it's not just one person that's doing the work. We need to make sure all of our students are supported. And so our students with IEPs and ILPs, we all have an eye on them, but they're also the departments of bilingual and special ed and curriculum. We have an eye on those students as well. They're checking their IEPs, they're checking their ILPs. And so it is truly like a team effort. We wanted to make sure everyone is involved. And so when Dr. Cummins said in the beginning, focus, we have a streamlined focus, a laser focus this year on graduation rates and literacy. And it's kind of refreshing. It's hard. We have some work to do to get to that state graduation rate. but it's just refreshing to see all of us rowing in the same direction. We're all rooting for our students, and I'm excited. I don't know if everybody else is excited, but this announcement today is exciting. We want the graduation rate to be 100% because we want all our kids to exceed, but to at least see our graduation rates improving, it just says a lot. Because a lot of times we share, a lot of sad news and negative news, but this is great news. And not just because they graduated, because it's going to change their life, like Jim just said. Over $500,000 over their lifetime. This can make all the difference, them getting a high school diploma. And so we just want to thank you all for your support. Thank the teachers, the support staff, administrators, our directors of counseling. They worked so hard. Our guidance counselors, our parents, and most of all, our students. They worked really hard. And so thank you for your support. And now we'll open it up for any questions that you all may have.
I'm sure the board has some questions, comments.
I do.
Ms. McCullough?
Yeah, I do. Thank you for your presentation. I just have one question so I can, just clarification where I can better understand Plato. So Plato, you said the students, I get to the slide. So the students log in on their computer? Are they in a classroom, or they're at home, or where are they at when they log in on the computer?
Oh, you can.
So Ms. McCullough, it depends. Some are at home. They have the opportunity to still log in over the weekend.
Uh-huh.
There's parts of the test or the program that can be locked throughout the entire program.
Okay.
We do have some that are working on it while they are in the building. Some that are coming after school and continuously working on it. So that's a live document that they can still work on when they are not physically in our building.
Because as I'm listening to, and it sounds like a good program, but I just want clarification on it. So if the student is not doing well in math, one student not doing well in math and language arts, there is a certified teacher that can help him with those two areas? Or is he just assigned one teacher?
Yes. For example, another intervention that we have in place now is students can come to the after-school tutoring program and actually have certified teachers there with them to help guide them through some of the nuances of the program. And when it's time for the test, you have a certified teacher right there to make sure that everything is done with fidelity to ensure that the grade that the students are earning are the true grades that they are earning.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Green. I do have some questions. I have a comment. One is that I appreciate the depth in which you've gone to give us this presentation, because I know last month the board had a lot of conversation, and there had been some, previous conversations during board meetings about Plato, scores, graduation rates, and all of that. So I'm very happy to see that you all have done a lot of work. Certainly some of this was gathered over the break, so I appreciate that you all provide us with a very thorough report. So thank you for that. I had just a couple of questions. You mentioned on Power School that there's a way for instructors to be able to, I'm gonna call it a thermometer because I don't know what word you use, but in my mind, it just made me think of a thermometer and see how far students have progressed. Is that something that parents can see?
Yes, and based off what we did at Washington, just to use Washington as an example, we found that link, a lot of our students, when they went to their homeroom, the teachers were basically having questions about where are the students. So we opened up that link, used our technology department, that as soon as that teacher opens up the Power School, so if a family or a teacher opens up their student's Power School account, you can actually see a thermometer of where that student is. So if it's English 12, at this stage, second semester of their senior year, they should have at least 7 credits at that moment. And if there's anything below that, that's where we can redirect them to their guidance counselor to make sure that Plato and other interventions are put in place, for them.
Okay, so if I'm a parent, and actually I am, so I'm like, ooh, let me go on Plato. I mean, I know my child is on track, but maybe there could be maybe somebody can just send a visual that shows me like, I'm XYZ parent. This is what it looks like, y'all. It looks like this right here. And so in your example, if you said it's 12th grade English or whatever, 12th grade math or whatever the class is, you need X number of credits. And so as a parent, I'd have to know my child needs 7 credits in order to be graduation, on the path of graduation. My child is at 3 credits. Does it show it like that? Like, oh, this is where you need to be. This is where my child is. We need to bridge that gap. Is it that easy to read?
I would say that it depends on how they're looking at it. So it does, in Power School, when you're looking at that piece, it does say that in there. It'll give them what they have and what they need. And so they still may have to do a little math on where their kid is at, but it does not identify the graduation pathway per se for that bucket 3. Does that make sense? So they can know how many credits their student has by looking at that on Power School, but actually knowing the actual pathway that they are actually on and where they're at with that, that is not solid for you to easily just see on the Power School as what you're looking as a barometer.
Okay,
We
so-
would actually give them, so the counselor would actually have that conversation with them and then probably break it down for them as the parent and the student so that they know exactly where they're at, so that they are moving towards their graduation.
Okay, so that's, the answer is yes and no. Yes, there's a barometer, but there's an extra bridge of information. So if y'all can take that back to the team and huddle about that, about how we can make that more obvious to a parent, like, what is my pathway? How do I get to graduation? We might know there's 3 buckets, but maybe I'm got this much in this bucket, that much in that. Do they understand that? And maybe it could be in a pictorial format, something easy to understand. But anywho, my other comment, I don't want to monopolize too much, is going to the town hall of graduations. And I know, and I try to Facebook friend all of the schools, but I do recall seeing Washington's high school graduation town halls. I just remember seeing them on my feed. And so I'm wondering, are those live streamed?
No, what I try to do is to make sure that parents know exactly what I'm talking about when I'm speaking to their students. So we just so happen to have our family liaison there with the camera, and he just so happened to record it at that time. So that feed that you were talking about, that was us breaking our town hall meetings down into 3 different buckets: red, yellow, and green. The red meaning that I really need to talk to these students because they are our students of great concern. Our yellow is our bubble students that we still need to keep our hand on, but they're pushing towards the green. And our green are the students that we know are particularly graduating. We just need to continue to encourage them. So Ms. Ball, what you saw was me speaking to our yellow group, I believe it was, just encouraging them that I'm here for you. Let's do this together. Let's get your parents involved. Let's do whatever we need to do to get you to June 7th at 5 o'clock at the Compton Ice Arena.
Okay. And I just appreciated being able to see that, but however that is played out is just if we can get as many parents access, whether if I can't be in person, you all figure out the logistics, but I just thought, when I saw that, I thought that meant, oh, if I couldn't be there in person, I could join in virtually, but if that's not the case, anywho, that's the only reason why I asked. And then,
Ms. Ball, if I may,
yes.
with all the technology that we have, so for example, I know at Riley, we do a Loom video. So the moment after we've completed our town hall meeting, I go and I re-record the presentation and send it to each cohort of families. So if I have a parent that's a senior, they're getting that town hall meeting.
Okay.
Juniors and so forth. So we try to get that information out as much as possible, as quick as possible to the families on a recorded version that the kids get live.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Sounds like your child's principal needs to start doing that.
Ooh, you need to do it if you got red and yellow buckets of children. If you talking about buckets, then. Okay, and then my other, I'm gonna hurry up, of the students that are in the tier 3 intervention level, for our mini mesters. If you don't have this at hand, if you could just send it to us later, but what percentage of those students were IEP students with IEPs? If you could get that for us. And then, I certainly love the work and the energy and the really laser focused and trying to come up with solutions as to how we can move our number upward. Has there been a discussion about how we can include community members as part of that mentorship team? I don't know what level of training it would take, but I'm 100% positive that there are community members who can mentor a child or a cohort group of children through this graduation process. Has there been any discussion about how we can fold in more people from the community?
I know with us, we use like 100 Black Men of last year, the SAVE program, that although we have to protect some of the confidentiality of students' information, they're able to talk to them just based off the social emotional aspect and continue to guide them to their particular guidance counselor or their particular mentor. So I know for us, we try to use any and every possibility of a student that has a relationship with a particular individual. We try to use whatever we can to really get to that student so we can see the results that we need to see.
Okay, because I'm looking for a systematic answer, but I get it
Okay.
just one by, but if there's a systematic, like, we all do something that looks like this, but okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Ball.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for being here tonight. I express my greatest compliment to each and every one of you because over the past year that I've been a school board meeting, a school board member, I've been around your buildings and I'm very proud of them. You guys do a great job. All due respect, though, you know, having you come in tonight and expressing your views on graduation rate, and I think you did a very admirable job in doing that. That's part of your job. That's part of every person who works in this school corporation's job. And to highlight it, that's okay. But to overblow it and not concentrate on the key segments of what is needed. A sound elementary system where kids go from lower elementary to higher elementary with the skills in order to sit in a high school classroom and be able to compete within himself. That should be our highest goal. There are going to be some kids who are brilliant and can't graduate. There are going to be some kids who just scrape by. But we have to honor them because they stuck with it. I apologize because the reason why you're in here tonight is because I made a statement the last board meeting. And I repeated myself from earlier this summer when I had some teachers come up to me and gave me information on Plato that, let's be perfectly frank, it wasn't the most honorable way of getting a credit. They will not give out their names. They are afraid of being fired. But that needs to be looked into. Not that I'm out to trying to fire people because their graduation rates are going up. What I'm out for is an ethical way of achieving a student's high school graduation diploma. You know, we have, I've been very busy recently. I have a 96-year-old mother-in-law and a wife who cares very much for her, going back and forth to Chicago recently for the last month or two, because that's where she lives and she needs support. She's in a nursing home, but she needs a lot of support. But it gives me time to reflect on a lot of things traveling back and forth. Just by chance, another teacher came up to me during the holiday season who was a teacher in Plato, and gave me information about it. That if you have some classes have in the high school, some classes have 15, sometimes 20 kids to a class. That is very difficult for anybody to monitor a situation like that. He also gave me information about how to cheat on it. And you can go to the website to find that out. I'm not going to go into that because I don't want to give any other information out that other kids might be tempted to do. But when we have a system like that, then I think we need to evaluate where we want to go. You know, again, I love to have every kid graduate. I love to have every kid in that classroom earning their diploma in that classroom with a regular teacher. We have special schools. We have Rise Up and virtual. I have no problem with that because that's their specialty. I do have a little bit of a problem because I know where I've been in your shoes. It's very difficult to monitor a situation like that. You know, you might walk into a room and it looks okay, and leave, but you don't know what goes on inside a classroom when you have Plato as your main subject. And a teacher who's not certified may be in all 4 areas. That kind of concerns me. Lessons that some kids might only do 1 lesson, take a test and pass it, so go on. And I mean, you know, I don't ever want to ever lose the credibility we have with kids in high school who work and obtain that diploma the way it's supposed to be. That's very important. And those are the kids who are going to be successful on the outside world. Yeah, they might get a diploma this way. One student I know had 3 credits going into his senior year, and he was able to graduate by going through this system. That, to me, is a real major problem. It's major because other people are going to find out about this. And it's going to make your job even tougher. So what I'm saying here tonight, I guess it's one of these things where, you know, there is good and there's bad. In education, you can have bad and still have some satisfactory results with it. But what's left over at the end, who knows? If you have good, the reward is excellent. And the ethics is there to back it. Thank you.
I'd like to say something.
Go ahead, Ms.
Oh,
Wesley.
sorry.
and I'll go after.
Sorry, Ms. Wesley.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't
Nope.
see.
Go ahead, Ms. Wesley.
Okay, thank you. I'd just like to say real quickly to everyone, the panel, and to all of the principals, I commend you. I commend your administration. I commend you. Thank you, Dr. Adams, for coming in and assisting with new innovative ways. We are one step ahead of where we were at this time last year. And so we have to celebrate the effort, the commitment that all of you all have put into the work and making sure our students are successful. I have nothing but accolades to give you. And so to each and every one of you, all your high schools, that's a tough position that you're in, but I think you all have done, Mrs. Robinson, I think you and your staff have done an amazing job. So thank you, and thank you.
One quick comment.
First of all, I just want to say thank you. I just want to say that, first of all, if there are employees there's issues or things that they feel that are inappropriate or need to be reported, that's what whistleblower laws are for. We want to make sure that we want you to increase these graduation rates but we also want to do it the right way. So if there's somebody that has something to say, then we need to know. We can't traffic in unsubstantiated, anecdotal, anonymous letters to hit the credibility of the graduation work and all the work you've done. You have done so much work, and I know how much commitment that the teachers and the counselors and the principals that are all sitting here tonight, the focus, we've never had focus like this on graduation rates before. It was what, 72% 2 years ago. When I first got on the school board, it was posted on board docs on the website, a statement from the board stating that we didn't acknowledge the state's accountability grades. We can debate all we want about the accountability grades in the state, but the point is, it didn't seem like we took responsibility for the academic success of our students. And I think the focus now is toward that. And I commend you, and you should be really, really, really proud of all the work you've done. Of course, we want to see you get to the state average, but to go from 72 to 75 to almost 85, that's amazing. And I know how much work you've done. So thank you very much for everything you've done. And we really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to seeing the numbers next year. Thank you.
Go ahead. I have a question.
Go ahead.
I have a comment, actually. I don't want to take the concern and focus off of what Mr. Costello said. So let me just say this. When I was a counselor, I schedule students, so I know how this works. I know how to read PowerSchool. So when I was a counselor, we had semesters, and Mr. Henderson, if you can help me with that, I don't know the word right now is escaping me, where students can go in and take classes that they might have failed in the semester.
Credit recovery.
No,
Trimester.
it was a trimester.
Trimester.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. It was a trimester. Washington had a trimester. So when a student was failing in a class, they can take that class over again in the semester, the next semester, in that trimester. So to me, with the concerns and questions about Plato, and I'm still trying to process in my mind how one teacher can help a student who may be failing in math and language arts. One teacher can't teach everything. So those are the concerns that I may be having or struggling with right now. But the trimester really worked, and it really helped those students. And I would rather see something to that nature rather than a Plato, where you have kids signing in on the computer, even though you're saying that they're being monitored. You know how kids can get away with stuff and they can get around things. And so I just, with all the questions, like I said, with all the questions and concerns with the Plato, not sure if one teacher is actually certified to teach language arts and math at the same time without having two teachers in place. And are we compensating those teachers for all the work that they're doing, especially if they're working on the weekend? So those are concerns, suggestions, and comments that I have.
Just thank you so much for the work you're doing. I'm super excited about so much of it, but the graduation, the way you have not just the coaches, but the teams, because the fact that you acknowledge one person can't do any of this for all of our kids, that it takes all of you. And I love how you're all working together clearly. As Ms. Robinson said, rowing together, I think is what you said. Like, I appreciate that so much. And I'm sitting here thinking with all the talk about attendance, how powerful this model is that you've already created. in the high school space to make sure that students really understand the power of showing up every day and doing the work and doing the very best you can, and knowing that people care about them. Even if they do miss a day, they can still come back and be welcome. And then I look around, like, because my brain goes like this, and I'm like, ooh, this exact same model, right, in elementary and middle. Because eventually, if we do it right, as Mr. Costello said, we do all this right, and we do so much right, but it's really hard. It's really, really hard, and we have families with lots of challenges. And I think acknowledging that and doing this same kind of team approach, elementary and middle, eventually, hopefully, by the time they get to high school, there's going to be less and less students that need to be caught up, because they're going to be in the right habits and in the right frame of mind. But that's on all of us. And we really have to take the great work that you're doing and make sure that we get a head start on that with all of our youngest kids. So thank you so much for what you're doing. I appreciate it.
And I'll just punctuate what you're hearing. I think we could be looking at this work through a critical eye, which we should. I'd also like to applaud what you've been accomplishing. And at the heart of what you were describing is what I think we know fully well about effective education, that is the power of relationships and the kind of care that each of you brings to the context in which you're working. I visited all of your schools over the years, and I'm most impressed with Mr. Robinson, just to pick on him for a second, because he's helped us avoid having to paint the hallways. He now wallpapers the hallways with where students are in their progress toward graduation. And of course, I'm being facetious, but that's the kind of determination that I think you all share. And we had the privilege to hear Ms. Robinson and her team talking to us about the principal pipeline, and to hear this kind of leadership where, you know, my metaphor is you really have thrown your arms around all of our children, reached out to our families to make sure our kids are thriving. So, you know, I'm like others, I'm very grateful for what you're doing, because you're also modeling for other principals who are not as far along as you are, but showing us the value of instructional coaches in leadership positions. I think you've really begun to transform the culture of the corporation, transform the culture of schooling. So thank you for taking us to where we are and giving us some understanding of where we need to go. So with that, thank you very much. We much appreciate it. So, Ms. Lee? So we now have, so give me 1 second. So we have the opportunity to hear from visitors on action items 9.01 to 9.04. And so someone has signed up, and I'll read the required statement. At regular meetings, the public is invited to address the board for 3 minutes regarding action agenda items. Visitors wishing to address the board on action items that will be voted on, must sign the registration sheet prior to the meeting and state the action agenda item which they will address. Individuals may only speak once during this section of the agenda. Speakers shall properly identify themselves after they approach the podium by stating their name and address for the record. Personnel issues are not to be addressed during open sessions of the school board. The board president may interrupt, warn, or terminate a person's statement if the statement becomes personally directed, abusive, or obscene. Thank you, Ms. Lee.
I hope I do this right. So 9.01 is property tax rate, and Paul Anastas is signed up. Speak.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Then we're going to skip to 9.04 and John Pachesney.
John Pachesney, 18420 Crown Hill Drive. Looking at the redistricting map, I do not feel comfortable with 1 nor 4. Since the area east of the river will become part of the Adams District under the new reorganization plan, it should remain in District 5. Somehow I wonder if this is not another attempt by the administration or whoever drew up the map to try and divide the people from Clay Township. Why should a portion of what lies in the Adams District be represented by the Washington District representative when there is no correlation to the area? And I know very few people, if any, who are really looking at sending their kids to Washington from that area. Thank you.
No one else has signed up for, some of you have signed up, but that is not for an action agenda item.
So let's move on to 7.01 and where we can invite comments on other items that are not on the agenda. And so I'll read this as well. At regular meetings, the public is invited to address the board for 3 minutes regarding items not posted on the agenda. Individuals may only speak once during this section of the agenda. Speakers shall properly identify themselves after they approach the podium by stating their name and address for the record. Personnel issues are not to be addressed during open sessions of the school board. The board president may interrupt, warn, or terminate a person's statement if the statement becomes personally directed, abusive, or obscene. So at this point, I'd like to invite anyone who would like to address the board to come to the podium.
That's right. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Sherry Brown. I live at 615 Preston Drive, just down the street from Edison. First, I came here tonight to encourage you to reappoint Christine Pokert-Ringel to the board of the St. Joseph County Public Library. I've attended in person or remotely several library board meetings in the last months. The current board works harmoniously together and support the library's policies on maintaining open and diverse collections. We need to keep this the focus of library board oversight in coming years. Free people read freely. Second, just quickly, I did not know you were going to talk about graduation rates. I didn't get here in time to see that. But I want to say just quickly, the heroic effort that was made to graduate my neighbor immigrant boy from Adams High School. I'm going back 6 or 7 years. He ended up for various reasons, 1 credit short, physical education. Someone, somehow, some people followed this kid for 2 years. They didn't give up on him. He also suffered because of physical illness, problems in his family, a homeless student at one point, all kinds of challenges. They followed him. Eventually, because he was in the hospital, he accidentally answered a call from whoever was looking for him from the school corporation. She registered him right away in 2nd semester swimming at Washington High School, for which there is no transportation, I might add. But we got him to and from. He got a regular Adams diploma. It was the computer program at Riley that kept him in school in the first place. He's now full-time employed with benefits in IT and city government. These people did not give up on this kid. They cared. They wanted to improve his life. And I found caring teachers with all of the children I helped in the South Bend schools. So, and if the superintendent wanted to give him a gift card at his graduation, I would have been all for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Don Steluto, and I live in South Bend at Ballston Circle. At the end of the December meeting, Dr. Green asked why public statements were important to the case of personnel issues. And I'm happy to answer his very important question. These statements are important because human dignity matters. Scott Kovach, a friend of mine, is not a number. He is a human being with talents and skills that make him valuable to this district. Scott appears by name in the online public agenda for the board, but oddly in the board's discussions, he is reduced to a number. People have names. In Homer's classic, the Iliad, the names of heroes were extolled, while those considered unimportant remained nameless. Are employees of this district unimportant and now to become nameless? While it may be easier to summarily dismiss individuals without names as a slate, I urge you to restore human dignity in this situation by understanding that Scott and his family are being impacted by this process, to accord him the respect and opportunity a human being deserves, and to seek to understand what he has endured. These kinds of statements are also important because proper procedure matters. In its December meeting, it was evident that the board was expected to render a dismissal in this case, even though it seemed to know relatively nothing about its circumstances. For the community you serve, this raises questions about your internal procedures. In December, the board seemed to stumble through Robert's rules in an attempt to first restore Scott, then stumble again in its efforts to separate out this case from a slate of other personnel decisions. These procedural irregularities prompt concern and an uneasiness that the board may be passing judgment on people's careers rather quickly without first learning the circumstances. I urge this board to restore a measure of procedural integrity into this decision and others like it by proceeding with greater care and with full knowledge of the circumstances. These statements are also important because truth matters. As a former CEO of a small corporation, I understand that when an employee is to be dismissed, it occurs based on truth, on documented facts, all managed through proper procedure after conversations with the employee and with transparency. A skilled educational administrator and counselor, Scott has offered to reveal the truth in his case. Dr. Green, you just
30 seconds.
You just highlighted relationships, yet after a month, this board has not followed up with any invitation from Scott to have conversation about this. Isn't this district interested in understanding why one of its seasoned and well-respected educator administrators is being dismissed? Truth matters, and I urge this board to seek, in this case, probing as it should in all cases for clarity, as well as any errors, inconsistencies, falsehoods, and failures to follow procedures. I urge you to lead
3
this
minutes are
process
up.
back to the truth rather than to merely rubber stamping. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Dan Hubert. I live at 51796 Saddle Ridge Lane. I'm here to read this letter on behalf of Jill Kovach, Scott's wife. She writes, I'm going to tell you some things about my husband that you were never told, but should know about him before you make a decision that will forever change the trajectory of our family. Scott, the last of 6 children, was born in 1964 to Ernie and Mary Lou Kovach. Ernie had been a prisoner of war in Korea for a little under a year, having left behind their oldest child, Debbie, to serve his country. He came home a war hero and supported his family by working the South Bend schools for close to 40 years. Ernie was just recently honored by members of Riley High School as an Indiana All-Star in 1945. 5 of the 6 Kovach children attended South Bend schools. Scott's brother, Brad, is deaf, so he required special services. When Scott was old enough to go to school full-time, his mother returned to college to get her degree in education and became one of the best, most beloved teachers the school district has ever known. Many of her former students came to pay their respects at her funeral, having touched so many lives. Scott's sister, Debbie, also worked as a teacher here for her entire career. All told, the 3 of them sacrificed over 100 years of service to this corporation. Scott got his bachelor's degree in special ed from Indiana University and began his work as a special ed teacher in Evansville, Indiana. We were married in 1991. His drive to do more for kids continued as he earned his master's in social work from Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. Still never satisfied by his education, he earned a principal's license and subsequently his superintendent's license, which he still holds to this day. He's been a certified school safety specialist for over 20 years and is also a certified dream manager through Floyd Consulting, where he helps others identify and achieve their goals in life. Over the course of his 38 years in education, he's been an elementary, intermediate, and high school principal. He's been a director of operations, transportation, facilities, and human resources for several districts, including Penn Harris Madison, Elkhart, and Jimtown. Scott retired 3 years ago as an assistant superintendent of Concord schools. But when the unexpected opportunity presented itself to work for this district, where he had so much
30
rich
seconds.
history, he couldn't say no. So he accepted the position of Buildings and Grounds Director for this corporation and waited in eager anticipation as the board set to approve his hiring in December of 2022. You can imagine his surprise when at that meeting, one of the members rightly inquired and asked about his credentials. You were told that he had 20 years of experience with New Prairie Schools, a district he never worked, because you didn't know anything about him. You were given incorrect information that night because
3
someone wanted
minutes
to
are up.
hire him. But you think it's possible now that you're not getting false information to fire him. Please reconsider this unjust termination. Thank you, Jill Kovach.
Hello, my name is David Cavallari. I live in Hunting Ridge Court in Granger, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Mr. Mr. Kovach. I'm a member of a global fraternal men's leadership group known as That Man Is You. And Mr. Kovach is currently the local chapter leader of over 60 and sometimes 100 men. They trust him in spiritual guidance, which means they trust him in personal, sensitive information and the course of possibly the future of their lives. They trust him week in and week out for the following reasons. First, he listens carefully and focused to the one in front of him. Then he properly discerns and gives thoughtful consideration to what that person needs, not only from him, but the resources available to him and the person. Only after that thought does he then make guidance and action in a charitable and sympathetic way. All administrators, staff, and teachers will be done a great disservice if he were not their leader. As Mr. Costello mentioned earlier, when regarding that a leader like Mrs. Ball would help make an improvement in the role, so does Scott Kovach. If he is not the particular leader at this time and this place, the ultimate sufferers will be students. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Teresa Kovach. I live in Granger. I'm currently 16 years old and I'm a sophomore at Marion High School. My sister, who I'm reading for, Michelle, is 18 years old and she works for Elkhart Community Schools as an instructional paraprofessional. I've come here today to talk about the character, my dad, Scott Kovach. Growing up, as long as I can remember, my dad is working in education. He was a special education teacher, a principal, assistant superintendent, and many more. The teachers loved him, and most importantly, the kids loved him. Even when my dad would come home from a long day at work, he would still make time for all of us. I remember how excited we would get when he would walk through the door at around 5:30. He would come home, help my mom make dinner, then help us with homework, play with us, and then help with us to get to sleep. He made us feel so valued and loved as kids and helped us to believe that we can do anything. My dad has brought us closer to Jesus Christ every single day by existing and just being our dad. It hurts to see people treat him so poorly when he is so kind. When my sister was around 8 years old, my mom found out she had a brain tumor. She had to have surgery immediately. The surgery changed her life and our lives drastically. My dad stepped up. He doesn't quite get the recognition he deserves for taking care of all 6 of us and taking care of my mother, all while working a full-time job. He loves us all so unconditionally. My dad is our hero, and it hurts to see him treated this way. My dad cares about everyone, and it's sad to see that a district leadership can treat a human being this way, a good human being who loves every stranger he walks by. And no matter what others do to him, he loves them. And because, like my dad has always taught us, there's good in every single person and everyone deserves to be loved. Thank you.
My name is Scott Kovach. I live at 52060 Barrington Place, Granger, Indiana. I want to thank the people who I know have been praying for me, who have been in my corner through this most surreal walk. In 38 years, I've never been treated as such. I have been taught and have operated on the following words: honesty, integrity, respect, honor, and faith. The culture of this district that has so many very good people in the trenches. Those principals that presented, amazing. I love those principals. They're great people. There's many others. But the culture from the top of narcissism, arrogance, incompetent, fear-driven has got to stop. I am a 1982 graduate of South Bend Riley. I went to Hay, I went to Jackson. I am proud to be a South Bend graduate. In 38 years, I've never been treated like this. My life has been flipped by the frivolous decision to terminate me in less than 48 hours over nothing. So I want you to know I'm a storyteller. So board, I'm willing to tell you my story. This is not the time and place for that. I've not been given that chance to tell my story because this isn't the time or place for it. I appreciate all that you do. I know how hard your job is. For $2,000 or whatever you make a year, that's nothing. That's nothing. So I do thank each and every one of you for your service to South Bend. But something has got to change. It's wrong. It's wrong what's happening in the culture. The lies need to stop. Humility needs to take precedence. Thank you.
So, with Clay High School reopening as Clay Academy, still public school, but not managed by you because you didn't want it, I wondered what money had been spent on the Clay Township schools this year. So I went through the entire year bill pays, which, by the way, is the most boring task imaginable. I don't know how anybody decides they want to be an accountant. But anyway, in the referendums, you listed millions of dollars of improvements for Clay schools, but what have you spent? This past April, this board approved $3,400,000 for emergency repairs, closures, moving the fine arts program to Riley, planning on 1.1 million for demolition. So that's 5.6 million. This year's spending I found for Clay's schools were Darden, you repaired the HVAC, which is probably the $70,000 payment on the September bill list. It didn't say which school. Swanson, $37,181.18 for paint and carpet, and Clay IA and high school, $2,970 for water treatment. And I do not think you updated the fire system at Clay like the rest of the schools. I think that's correct. What else did I see in those bill pays? Well, you spent $4,813.37 repairing the roof on Green and $54,000 to Baker Tilly of Munich for I don't know what services, legal accounting, but for Green. You spent at least $8,896 on CRT training, something that many consider inappropriate for children and many believe is the cause of some of your behavior problems. What really stands out is $121,540 paid out to community partnerships. I don't understand what services they provided. It's time to set things right with taxpayers. You need to earn back your credibility if you want another referendum, which looks doubtful from where I'm standing. Have you planned for that? Anyway, Give Scott Kovach his job back. Hire Five Star Life to redo your discipline code of conduct and train the teachers, and prioritize the care of your buildings. Do not build a new CET school when you can't afford to maintain the buildings you have. Use the money earmarked to close Clay for repairs.
30 seconds.
For HVAC, for the roof. Please join us on the road to wealth, education, wealth, and prosperity, and get off the one that leads to poverty, despair. Oh, and option 2 or 3, where clay boundary goes to the river, is best. Thank you.
John Chesney, 18420 Crown Hill Drive. Buildings built with taxpayer money are that, public buildings. And according to 2 Indiana government agencies I contacted, there are Indiana statutes that govern the rental of such buildings by taxpayers. Dr. Cummings, do you despise and dislike the taxpayers of Clay Township, more specifically Save Clay, that you sacrificed one of your employees for him following the Indiana statute? You do realize you cannot deny the rental of a public building on the grounds of race, religion, political view, or sexual orientation. He did his job. But I guess the rules of your kingdom must state otherwise, even if they violate the rules of the state. My guess is you do not like nor want your kingdom and its domain being questioned and challenged. The form for building rental was filled out and proof of insurance was provided. So the parameters set by this corporation and board were followed. You do realize Allison from the DOJ was present at that meeting, and believe me, she is well aware of the action you have taken since. Even the principal of Clay was in the building and came in to check on us. It's too bad that this request was not denied. Then we could have filed a lawsuit for 10 times what the former board president has stated that Save Clay has cost the corporation. I would have loved to see that day in court. This wasn't a vindictive action, another blackballing of one of your employees. This is nothing new and several have faced it, including myself. Guess you and some of the members of your cabinet will never learn or think you're infallible. And again, whoever initiated this procedure should be removed from their position. And to the members of the board, will you follow the laws and statutes of the state of Indiana or follow the rules of the kingdom? The public is watching. And if you do vote to sustain this dismissal, I bet my next month's check that another lawsuit will be filed against the corporation. And I hope the suit goes after the board members and the corporation for sustaining this dismissal. And by the way, Save Clay isn't going anywhere. The job is not done. Save Clay also means save our schools.
Sue Ekman. I live on the west side and I'm a concerned taxpayer, and even now today, more concerned about this Mr. Kovach that everyone is talking about. I don't know him or his family other than to say hello to him. So I am not really biased, I guess, to the fact that I would know the man. But the fact that he had so many people come up here and speak so eloquently, praising what a good and moral man he is, should tell you something. Secondly, his daughter came up here to defend her father. My God, is anyone listening? She should not have had to do that. But as I sat there and thought about it, she must have had an excellent upbringing to be able to have the confidence and the willingness to come up here and stand and defend her father. I applaud her and all the other folks that spoke on his behalf. Think about this, people. You are doing a disservice to this family, and I will continue to pray for them, and God bless them.
Peter J. Agostino, attorney at law, 131 South Taylor Street. Some quick points here. Number one, you need to fix your procedure for allowing people to speak on agenda items because the sign-up sheet for that was not outside there. This meeting, the regular meeting, was advertised to start at 5:40. I was here before 5:40. This sheet was not there. So if you're going to use that process, please improve it so that people do get to speak on agenda items. Secondly, to reiterate what Mr. Costello said about the Plato and the graduation rate, that is important. To your point, Mr. Anella, teachers are afraid to come forward and speak about this. They're afraid because they see what happens when people do the right thing in this school district. When they stand up for what's right, when they follow the rules and do what's right, they get punished. So something does need to be done about that. Plato does need to be investigated because it is easy to cheat on Plato. And if you're concerned about graduation rates as the only measure of success, then you're misguided. Are the kids learning? That's what you need to find out. Finally, we heard a lot about the character of Mr. Kovach. He is a man of high character and integrity. But tonight is not about his character, it's about your character. Because we have here a contract signed by you, Mr. Anella, signed by you, Dr. Cummings. It's a contract for Mr. Kovach that says he has due process rights. And he has not been given those due process rights. Do you have the character and the integrity and the honesty to live up to your signed word here that gives him those rights? Because he has not been provided those rights yet. And truth and integrity count more than anything else if you're going to teach anyone in this school corporation. And if you don't have that and just have graduation rates, you will fail miserably. Please honor your word. Please honor the promise, your written signature to a contract. Honor that and give Mr. Kovach an opportunity to be heard. Thank you.
Does anybody else wish to speak? Seeing no one, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Agenda item 8.01. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes under 8.01, accepting any attached financial reports and statements under item 8.02, approving any attached consolidated registers of claims and distributions of payroll for payment under item 8.03, approving personnel decisions listed on any attached reports under item 8.04, adopting any attached resolutions under item 8.05, which are required to be adopted annually, accepting any gifts to the corporation and approving any fundraisers described in any attached report under item 8.06, and approving or ratifying any contracts for $50,000 or less listed under item 8.07, of which there are none. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I would like to
Motion's on the floor.
pull a name from the personnel report.
Motion's on the floor.
So moved.
Second.
Question. Please pull.
Same
Please
thing.
pull 804.
Done.
And I think everybody knows what name I'm talking about, so I won't say it publicly, which I'm told I can't, so.
So pull 8.0.
804.
It's listed under non-professional, which is incorrect, should be under certified. Or listed under non-certified, I should say. It should be listed under certified, but
No, we'll
it's listed under non-certified.
So we can come back.
We'll come back. Question.
We'll come back. Discussion. So just the personnel decision. So with that, I think we'll vote first for the motion to approve the consent agenda and then come back to 8.04. I think that's the procedure we've been.
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
Yes, thank you.
now we all have a copy of Robert's rules as well. So, let's first take up the motion to pass the consent agenda without 8.04. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hernella,
Aye.
Ms. Ball,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. McCullough,
Nay.
Ms. Wesley.
Aye.
So the motion to pass the agenda without 8.04 passes, 6 to 1.
Question?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment
Yes.
at this time.
Of course. Mr. Costello. And then,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Dr.
This is-
Green.
this is very
Excuse
difficult.
me, but we should probably motion to have the personnel report. Motion and second, and then discussion.
Okay,
8.04.
you have to do the rest.
8.04 is now its own item. That's okay,
Yes, sir.
You're brand new.
thank you, President.
That's okay, go ahead. I'll come back,
Do we
it'll
have a
come back to
motion?
me. Go ahead.
For 8.04.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Newman. You need to call the roll?
Any discussion, right, Mr. Hernella? Are we voting for 8.04?
Not yet, we have to have discussion first. So Mr. Costello. You can talk.
I'm on the floor, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know where to begin, except to say, I guess I have known Scott Colvin, excuse me. I have known this person for many years. And I know him to be just one heck of a human being. The most trustworthy person, one of the trustworthy people I've ever met in my life. And I'm right in the middle of this because I know what happened. And I was not allowed in executive session to go through this, so I'm going to go through it now. I get a call from a person by the name of Robert Smith. And he said, "Hey, we got to Clay High School on a Tuesday night. I think it was the 14th of November, and we're going to have the DOJ come in and talk to the community people." I said, "Well, how'd you get that?" Knowing full well this is not going to go over real well with our superintendent and the people downtown. And again, I'm not sitting in their chairs and looking at, I know I sit here looking at Save Clay in a different way than they do. But anyway, he said, "Well, I called up this person, and he told me I got the form from him and a nonprofit." I said, "Did you tell him that you were from Save Clay?" He says, "No." I said, "Oh my." He said, "Well, you know, it was one of these things, we got the meeting scheduled, we're gonna take it, and blah, 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 and we went on to a different conversation." He gives me a call back, I think it was on a Friday, just before they met on Tuesday night, Robert Smith. He said, "Uh-oh, this is off. We can't meet at Clay High School. So we're meeting somewhere else." I said, "Well, that's good for one person that I know." We hang up and I call up this person and told him, I said, "Well, you know, I think it's off." But I said, why don't we meet for lunch on Monday, the 13th? He meets with me at lunch on Monday, the 13th, and he tells me he was called in, reprimanded. It all hinged on Clay. There was some reference in there to something he didn't do with, something in one of the rooms at the central office building. But basically, it was, they thought that what happened was that they thought that he was disloyal to our school corporation by getting involved with this meeting with Save Clay. The truth is, this individual didn't know Robert Smith. Now, he's talked with him on the phone, but he doesn't know who Robert Smith is. Never met Robert Smith. And from that point on Wednesday, by getting written up for, like I said, basically and I could go through the language, which I'm not, but criticizing him for being a part of this Save Clay group, he's given a performance improvement plan. And in it, it gives him 30 days to improve. I told him at that luncheon, the first thing you need to do is go apologize and get this thing straightened out with the superintendent. Because he needs to know that you're not part of Save Clay. You are doing your job. He called you up, asked for information about a document to fill out. You told him that he needed the head custodian at Clay High School and the principal at Clay High School signature, and then it comes to him for a signature. That's the formality. And they criticize him for doing something inappropriate. He goes into Wednesday, the 15th, after the meeting on the 14th, he tries to get a meeting with the superintendent, left him a message on his cell phone. Superintendent refuses to meet with him. And then they go over this stuff with him later on that morning on termination. After giving him a plan, performance improvement plan for 30 days. What did he do wrong? He was never brought in to see anybody. Nobody ever sat down with him before Save Clay to talk to him about, oh, you're doing a lot of things wrong. I have seen a lot of things, people. I have written up documents to terminate people. I had everything, all I's crossed and everything documented on what a person did and how they did it. When you make allegation in the determination, the fact is he never got a determination letter, which is you have to have, when you go over a person's determination, you have to have that document in front of you to tell them this is what you did and this is what we're doing. They did this. I mean, it's impossible even to dream up these things if you're really have a real major problem with a person. And then, and again, I can't go into the discussion we had in the executive session over this, but they've added on things more. I mean, he doesn't have a chance. He wasn't there in this executive session to say, yes, I did that, or no, I didn't, or this is the why I did this. They just assume us as the school board members, well, you know, we're going to give you the information from our side, so go ahead and vote. I can't vote. I have to abstain myself. And I know people talk to me and say, you only do that for financial reasons. I have my own honor code. I am too personally involved with this to vote. So I'm abstaining. But I hope the rest of you people on this board would do the right thing.
Thank you, Board President Green. I want to first say, before I get into my comment, I want to ask that I change my vote for the new hirees from a nay to an aye. Can I do that? I think I can because we haven't left this process yet. So I want to change for the new hirees, I want to vote aye on that, nay for the terminations. So as someone came to the microphone, I don't know the name, sorry that I didn't catch your name, and they voiced a concern about calling our employees by numbers. And as you've heard, we're not allowed to say the names. And so we understand that you're not a number, and we do appreciate your work. We do appreciate you. However, saying that, I still have to say, I would like to see number 4 on the termination list and number 8 on the termination list pulled. Number 8 on the termination list, number 4, because I don't know why that person is being dismissed. Number 8 on the termination list, I have concerns about that person simply because I don't believe that I have the full information on why we're terminating that person. I'm concerned, and I'm a stickler with due process. And if anybody that knows me know that I talk about due process all the time. So having said that, I'm going to ask, has this person been allowed to come to the board? Have he been offered the opportunity to come to the board to state his side of the story? If not, it should have been done, but it should be done. When you give someone 30 days to improve, and you have a long list of things that he's supposed to be improving on, does he get the training in those particular areas? Does he have enough time to be trained in those particular areas that he is not, that you have a concern with? And 30 days would not cover that from the list of all the concerns that you have. So that's my concern. If he has caused an issue as large as you say he has, and you only give him 30 days, did you give him the training that's required under due process to correct the errors that you claim he's made? And he also should have the opportunity to come and voice his concern to the board. If he's done that with the superintendent and that did not go well, he has the opportunity to come to the board to voice his concern. That should have been done before his name appeared again on this list, on this termination list. We have got to make sure, I'm sorry, we have got to make sure that when we, as a board who represents this community, we have got to make sure that when things like this come across us, we actually know why, and we actually have the opportunity to hear those folks speak and voice their concern about why they're being dismissed, and give us the opportunity to see their side, to hear their side of the story. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm sorry I interrupted. I just want to be clear that under terminations, you're indicating that you would like to remove number 5.
Number 4 on the list, I'm voting against the termination list, and the reason why is because number 4 on the list, I don't know why, and I've looked through my emails to see, but I don't know why that person is being dismissed.
Okay.
And so I can't vote in true conscience for that. Number 8 on the list, I asked to pull that because, as I stated a minute ago, due process. Whether this board agrees with it or not, that's a thing. We have to do due process. We have to allow our employees due process. They have to receive a letter first to tell them what the problems are. They have to be written up to tell them again what the problems are. And they have to be offered the opportunity to be trained in the areas that you're talking about. These folks are, this young man is not doing his job. And he has to be allowed, it's board policy. He has to be allowed the opportunity to speak with the board if he's asking to do that. It's
So,
board policy.
sorry, you're making a motion.
To pull
Well, not-
number
to
8,
pull and what about number 4?
number 4. Pull them
Number
both,
4,
yes.
pull them both.
I'm making a motion.
So we only can take one at a time.
All righty.
Yes, Mrs. Ball. Go ahead.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, okay. So I just want to, my question is, I'm looking at a policy 1520 in regards to employment of administrators in addition to the superintendent. And I don't see, maybe I don't know if I see our HR person here, but, or she out there in the audience, okay. Or somebody's out there. We talk about due process. Is there another policy that talks about specifically the due process?
I don't know the number, but it is a policy. We do have a policy for due process.
I just need help to find it right quick because I want to share the one that I'm reading is employment of administrators in addition to the superintendent. So it's, probably needs some revision, but it's in the it's the policy manual is under 1000 administration is the section. And, I don't know, if you got your laptops, you can turn to it. And if you're online or whatever listening, it's something you should be able to get in board docs. But, I'm just gonna take my attention turn to the section about administrators who are employed in non-certificated positions. I'm reading this as it's printed here. Non-certificated positions shall be A, at-will employees. Their employment can be terminated with or without cause at any time, and B, employed by specific contract. The term of the initial contract must be for 1 year. So, I'm just trying to figure out what other policy are we talking about as far as due process. That just talks about specific level of employees, which it sounds like this person is qualifies as that, unless I'm mistaken, because Mr. Costello, you talked about whether this person should be under certified or non-certified, but I see it under non-certified and as administrator at that certain level.
What do you think it was put under there?
No, I'm not guessing. I'm looking for like, it's not a guess.
No, it's not a joke.
So, I mean,
No,
he's
no.
non-certified?
What do you think that was put under non-certified when he is a certified staff member downtown?
Certified staff member, certified and non-certified, isn't certified about teaching underlying
Under
teaching?
contract that he signed, it's a certified contract.
So, okay, so what you might be referring to, is the system generated some contracts that we had to retract. His position is a non-certified position. And so there was, you know, we don't have a signed contract on what you speak of, the certified position. His position as Director of Buildings and Grounds is considered non-certified, but admin.
Is he a part of the administrative team downtown? Did he sit in front of meetings with other certified administrators downtown? Yes, he did.
So I'm
asking, yeah, yes, he did. He was involved in meetings downtown with other certified members.
So you're
So
saying
as a
HR meeting?
non-certified person, why would he be involved in meetings downtown with other certified people who are in there, in the room?
So the position itself is a non-cert administrative position, which does not, there will be times that you speak with certified positions, even going to buildings with principals, those are cert positions. So it doesn't exclude you from speaking to cert designees. You can, in the process of doing your job, you would speak to certified designees.
Let me just state.
Excuse
and
me,
then I'm
everyone.
dropping
Can I say something?
Tonight, he is
This is,
non-certified.
Dr. Green,
Yes,
you all, we are totally out of line to discuss HR issues in public. That is out of line. I am sorry, but we cannot discuss publicly HR issues. I want to go on the record. This is not protocol. The chairman, we need to move on. There is
When
no
we
more
have-
discussion about an individual. You have a list of individuals that are on that termination list. Okay, you all, this is not the place. There is due process if we follow, if you are, I'm sorry. This is not the time or the place to discuss an individual HR issue in public forum. Sorry, it is not.
I disagree with you, and I'm not gonna.
Dr.
change
Green,
anymore.
can I speak
disagree
since I have not had
entirely
an
with
opportunity to speak? Just to remind the board and the public, as we have one employee, and that's the superintendent.
That's
The
correct.
superintendent makes the decisions on hiring and terminations. If certified employees, I'm not sure about non-certified, I can't speak to that. They do have an opportunity to make an appeal to the board after their termination, but since we are not their employer directly, that is not part of what we do as a board. My advice would be to pull those items, vote on them separately and sort it out, and people can make their request for due process from the board after.
I think it was,
Correct.
I'd like to do that. Thank you, Mr. Neal. I wanted to honor Mrs. Ball's question and to distinguish between certified and non-certified. And I think we were able to get the answer to that. Now, its relevance to the motion is separate. Yes, sir.
I got one more quick comment, just one more quick one. I have never seen a non-certified person ever who had complete control of the schools with the keys that were given to him. Thank you.
I just have
Sir.
one more comment. One more comment before you move in, and I appreciate you honoring the due process piece. But whenever you have you come to the board and you ask the board to vote on issues on this agenda, regular meeting agenda, we're gonna have questions. We're gonna have questions. We're supposed to have questions. We're not supposed to just come here and say carte blanche, I. And we're supposed to ask questions in public. We're supposed to ask the questions in public, not behind the doors, not in an executive session. We're supposed to ask our questions in public. And we're gonna have questions when you come to us with concerns, especially people in the community come to us with concerns. As Mr. Costello tried to say earlier, that he tried to ask these questions in executive session and he kept getting cut off in executive session. So he's frustrated and he has no other alternative but to voice his concern in public. So how can you tell me as a board member, I'm gonna shut down my questions because we can't ask questions? That's not right.
That was a legitimate question that Mrs. Ball
Thank you.
was asking, and thank you, Ms. McCullough. So to go back, and we'll take these in order, you asked to remove number 4.
Is that number 4 under non-certified? Just
No, under not certified.
It is.
We're right about
like,
that.
where are we counting? Do you count?
Under
separate
non-certified.
sections?
Can you see, are you agreeing?
Okay.
That's the one you have in mind.
Number 4, that's just my concern, number 4 under non-certified. Because I don't know why that person's being dismissed, and that's something that should have been given to us before we see it on the list.
So the possible,
I can't truthfully vote yes on this until I know why I'm voting.
so the motion is to remove this person from the list? To
So
table?
Oh.
So we have a motion for 8.04.
Mhm.
So she has to pull non-certified termination line 4 and so we'll vote on termination out those two. You vote on that one separately.
Well, she added 8.04.
Well, so that's its own item. So you vote on the whole item minus those two that have been pulled. And then we vote on those two separately.
So you want to vote, we
So
already
we
voted on
didn't,
8.
no, we didn't. We voted on the consent agenda and we had pulled 8.04. And we have a motion and a second on the floor for 8.04 and then Ms. McCullough's pulled those two items.
okay.
So we vote on that without those two. We vote on that separate as its own
Mhm.
item. We vote on that. as its own.
So the motion, thank you, is to vote on 8.04, the personnel report, without line 4 and without line 8.
Right, thank you.
Do I have a motion?
Could you repeat that one more time?
So we have a motion to vote on the personnel report without, just 8.04, without line 4 and without line 8.
Okay,
And then we'll vote on those two separately.
okay.
And we've motioned and seconded the personnel report. So those two items are separate already. So we can vote on the personnel report and then go to those two
And do we,
individually.
yeah. So there's a motion on the floor to accept the personnel report. Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. Anella,
Aye.
Ms. Ball,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. McCullough, Ms. Wesley. Can you repeat that, Ms. Wesley?
Oh,
Are you on mute?
Aye.
Thank you.
Well, now we'll move on to line 4. And is there a motion to remove number 4 from the non-certified list?
Technically, they don't have to, that doesn't have to be another motion because it's already part of the consent agenda and they can pull it. So it's just pulled and now it's an item. So it can just be voted on that way. Just make sure that it's, that the record shows it's line 4 and line 8 are the two separate items under non-certified terminations
We have to call the question.
for the record, because there is a number 4 certified, so we want to make sure line 4,
Right,
non-certified.
non-certified.
We'll vote on that, and then we'll vote on line 8, non-certified.
That was their discussion. To remove, and you're saying you don't have enough information.
I'm sorry, yeah, number 4. The reason why I asked to pull that or table it, pull it is because I don't know why this person has been dismissed. And this is something that should have been discussed or given to us, information we should have received way before it appeared on this list. When I vote for something, I want to know why I'm voting. And so if that's an issue with anyone, it just has to be an issue because I need to know why I'm voting for an item. And until I get the information, I have to say nay. Or I have to pull it.
President Green, I think she's asking to motion to table.
That's what I
I'm
asked
asking a
earlier.
motion, yeah, a motion to please to table it until we get the information on why this person is being dismissed.
Right.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So there's a motion put forth, the table, the decision on number 5 under non-certified. Number 4 on non-certified.
You need a second.
I know. Is there a second?
Second, table it? Is that what we're voting on, tabling it?
You already made the.
You made the motion
Oh,
to
I'm sorry.
table. Is there a motion to
To pull number 4 and
to
certify.
table it?
Okay. Yes, I'll second it if nobody else does.
Good. Mr. Hernandez?
Mr. Anella,
Nay.
Ms. Ball,
Nay.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Nay.
Ms. Lee,
Nay.
Ms. McCullough,
Aye.
Ms. Wesley.
Abstain.
So the motion does not fail. Green? Motion does not pass. So now we come to number 8.
No, we're still on 4 then.
They have to
So
go
now we
forward.
vote on 4 because the motion to table failed.
Okay.
Mr. Anella,
Aye.
Ms. Ball,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. McCullough.
The vote is to table.
No. We,
Term.
That was defeated.
I'm sorry, what is the vote? Because I can't hear what you're saying, Dr. Green, I'm sorry.
oh, the motion to table was defeated
Okay,
by the majority of the.
so now you're voting on the personnel list itself?
No, just number 4.
Oh. Nay.
Ms. Wesley,
Abstain.
So it carries. It will include number 4. Nope. So we're now on to number 8. The non-certified, yes.
I recommend that we table number 8 until we have a chance to hear directly from the person himself.
Further
Are
discussion?
you waiting for a second?
Is there a second?
I'll second it. I second it because the employee has a right to due process and he has a right to speak to the board. And that should have been afforded him before he appeared on this sheet. So I second your motion, Mr. Costello.
Discussion?
Mr. Anella,
It's a motion to table.
Table.
Nay.
Ms. Ball,
Nay.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Nay.
Ms. McCullough,
Aye.
Ms. Wesley.
Nay.
Motion does not carry. The table. So now we vote on number 8, non-certified. Do I have a motion?
Nope, we just, it's
No,
already been
just
pulled.
vote,
so-
just vote.
Mr. Renella,
Aye.
Ms. Ball,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Abstain.
Dr. Green,
Abstain.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. McCullough,
Nay.
Ms. Wesley.
Aye.
Carried. Three yes, 1 no. We'll now move on to action items. The first one is the property tax rate correction. Adjustment for adoption of the 2024 operations fund budget. The school corporation needs to adopt a corrected adjusted rate of 0.6572 that corresponds to the maximum levy of the operations fund. Therefore, it's recommended that the Board of School Trustees adopt the corrected adjustment operations fund rate.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
And I see Ms. Fowler.
Yes, good evening. Board President, Vice Secretary, and Dr. Cummings. We received our Form 1782 on this past Wednesday. And this is a form that we receive every single year after the budget. The state sends us a form and gives us 10 days to make any adjustments, check it out, and review it for any errors or anything. And in this particular form, there was a line item in our operations fund. And I don't know, we kind of went back and forth how numbers got maybe pulled over and transposed, but there was a number that was not 100% correct. This is not, we're not asking for any new money or appropriations or anything. We're just making sure that our numbers are correct. And this is in the operations fund for us to receive the maximum levy. It is what we presented to you in the previous budget that you had already approved.
Discussion? Mr. Neal?
And I know this has been done before when right, you try to sync the numbers up with the LGF and make sure that they are on the right page. And again, like you said, it's not any new request, it's just making sure we're maximizing our levy ability.
That's
Thank you.
correct.
Others? Mr. Naaman?
Mr. Renella,
Aye.
Ms. Ball,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. McCullough,
Nay.
Ms. Wesley.
Aye.
Motion carries. To approve. So the second, are you going to stay? Ms. Fowler?
Yes.
So to the 9.02 is to award diesel fuel year-long contract. She's still at the podium, so she'll explain the recommendation that the Board of School Trustees approve a fixed year-long diesel fuel pricing contract for the period January 8th, 2024 to December 31st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Fowler?
Yes, we came to you all, last board meeting asking for the opportunity to put the bid out. Bid awards went out. We received 7 bids, and then today, was the actual day where, they all come in with their prices. They came in with their prices, and Co-Alliance, was the lowest bidder. It was today at 2 o'clock. And it's for 2.47 cents a gallon. And we're asking for the approval for that. We need to approve it within 24 hours.
Well, you know what it was last year by chance? It's gone down a lot, right?
272 a gallon.
Nice, okay.
down from, what was it last year?
$2.72. $2.72 a gallon.
Question.
Yes, McCullough? Did you?
Thank you, appreciate it. So I just have one quick question. So the Co-Alliance, where are they located?
Out of Indianapolis.
And are any of these folks on, this distribution list? Are they anywhere near South Bend?
Yes, the last one, Nelson Fuel, is local. I believe they're on Olive, and they opted not to bid.
I'm sorry,
They opted not to submit a bid.
not to do it?
I did contact them personally.
And these were that was the only person in South Bend that we could, get to bid on this?
Yeah, there's not a lot of oil, distributors. It's pretty limited unless you go a lot further out of, these parameters.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Are there no further comments? Ms. Hernandez?
Mr. Anello,
Aye.
Ms. Ball,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. McCullough,
Aye.
Ms. Wesley.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimously. 9.03. Approval of the Hamilton resolution. Welcome, Ms. Key.
You motion it.
It is.
So moved.
Can I read
Second.
that? Can I read it? It is recommended that the school board trustees approve the Hamilton resolution, which authorized the continued use of Hamilton building for administrative or other school offices, storage, and a combination of office space and storage.
Sorry, I jumped ahead. So moved.
Second.
Discussion, Ms. Key will provide us with some context, I think.
Hello, okay, so this is just the board saying publicly for what purpose we use Hamilton. We've used Hamilton for storage for quite some time. It's a storage facility. It's also a place where we stage, if you will. So as items like computers or such come in, they are staged, if you will, at Hamilton, and then they go out and they're dispersed. We use it for multiple purposes. That's one of them. Storage is another one. So basically, this is just the board saying, yep, this is why we're using Hamilton. We want to go ahead and put that on record. And that's it.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yes,
You know I'm asking questions.
yes, of course.
So I just want the public to know, before you read this resolution, that I also asked that it says in here, Hamilton can be used for other school offices, storage, and a combination of office space and storage. But I also asked that we at some point consider using this building as an early childhood education program as well, so that we can eventually get some kids generated back into this school.
Thank you for that. I think that's wonderful. For right now, what we want to put on the resolution is exactly for the use that we use it for right now, but that is welcome in the future if we decide to do that.
And can we go back and revisit this at some point?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Yes, ma'am. You're
Okay,
golden.
so I would like to revisit this at some point because I would like to see that in somewhere.
That would be nice.
And I would say that we have everything to gain to revisit the legislators forcing us into this situation at every turn. And I hope we'll discuss that and push back. So, Ms. Hernandez.
Mr. Anello,
Aye.
Ms. Ball,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. McCullough,
Aye.
Ms. Wesley.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Mhm.
9.04. Welcome, Ms. Fox. So 9.04 calls for the approval of the electoral boundary alignment The proposal is that the board adopt a plan determining the manner in which the governing body will be constituted in light of the revised school district boundaries. It is recommended that the Board of School Trustees approve the electoral boundary alignment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mrs. Ball, seconded by Mr. Renella, or the other
Ms.
way around?
Wesley.
Ms. Wesley.
Oh, Miss Wesley. Gosh, so sorry. Can you help us understand this somewhat
Absolutely.
controversial?
Happy to do that. Congratulations, President Green. So what you have in front of you tonight is a resolution to realign the boundaries of the electoral districts. The reason this is necessary is as a result of the disannexation or the annexation of the three townships or the three precincts in Green Township last year, which became effective on January 1 of this year. By statute, whenever the boundaries of a school district or a political subdivision are changed, the political subdivision, school district in our case, has to realign the electoral districts within to ensure that each electoral district is in alignment with the precincts, the precincts don't cross, and to ensure that each electoral district is as close as possible to being equal. There's a 5% range. By statute, the largest can't be more than 5% larger than the smallest district. So what's been developed and what's in front of you are 4 different options, all of which would address the issue that was created by the removal. There are about 3,000 individuals in Green Township who are now members of John Glenn, no longer in the South Bend schools. And so as a result, that throws the allocation into flux. And so there are 4 different options, each of which there are, advantages, disadvantages of each. Some involve more precincts, some involve fewer precincts. The one that brings the closest equality in terms of population of the 4 options is option 4. That one there's only a range of 736 from the smallest to the largest. Option 3, there's a difference between 1,431 between the smallest district to the largest. Option 1, the range from the smallest district to the largest is 775. And option 2, the range from the smallest district to the largest is 928. So tonight, we ask the board to make a recommendation approving one of those 4 options. After assuming the board approves that, then there are several steps that need to be taken to make sure that the changes are implemented, communicated to the county, communicated to the State Board of Education so that the State Board of Education can review it and certify it. And before that, there is a 120-day remonstrance period in which a member of the public can file a petition to challenge that. So several steps that need to be put into place, but tonight is the first step.
Thank you. Discussion? So again, it's recommended in this case that the board adopt option number 4. As part of the alignment. Is that?
Option number 4 brings the closest parity in terms of population.
And can you say something more? Because I think people are concerned about the implications of shifting voters in this way. And what are the implications of doing this? Other than I think you're saying in a positive sense, we're actually required to do this.
Exactly. You're absolutely required to do it by statute. You're required to do it in a way that brings the districts as close as possible to being equal. The statute does give you this sort of 5% grace period, which allows you to have a number of different options. I think the impact is that, if you have a board member, it's certainly possible, a board member may represent the interests of both, not just one high school, a couple different high schools. And I think, there are certainly, advantages and disadvantages of that, but that may be one implication.
And one of the things that people have been concerned about is that it's targeting Clay in some ways. Because there's a shift that would affect Clay. Does it affect Clay in any serious way?
Not that I know of, and that certainly was not an intention. Frankly, this was driven by the numbers, to try to develop several options that are all within the confines of what is required. And there's this, it's like a rubber band, right? You
Yeah.
pull on one end of it, and then that takes out numbers from another district, so you've got to move things around a little bit. And so, certainly there was no intention to, create any kind of, an impact that way. But it's certainly possible that it may, right? It may result in a board member representing the interests of both Clay High School students and, I don't know if it's Adams High School, but two of them, two different high schools.
I can think of a board member in that position. Is any further discussion?
Yeah, I have just a quick question. Thank you, Dr.
No.
I have a quick question. So I'm looking at option 4, and the concern by a member in the public that came to the microphone, and he says we're moving more people. The boundary would move more people into the Adams district, Adams voting district. Was that correct?
Well, I think Adams is in District 1,
Right.
right? And so the total population for that district, if the board chooses to opt for option 4, would be 32,543. And the current population of District 1, if you give me 1 minute.
But my question is that when we change the boundaries, lost it. When we change the boundaries, and if we're talking about option 4, my question is, would that move more people into the Adams voting boundary? And where we're moving these people out of where?
Yep, it's actually 100 fewer in District 1 if option 4 is selected. Right, currently in Adams, District 1, 32,643. That's the population in that district. And then if option 4 is selected, the population is 32,543. Does that answer your question?
So if you were to look at the presentation, that would be slide
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I don't know if it's the Q6 in here or what it is.
I'm sorry. So if you were to look at the presentation, it would be slide 6 versus slide 20 is what you're looking to compare.
Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying. But when you're talking about, what I'm looking at is what I guess I need clarification on the boundary lines itself. I'm not, so, you're changing the boundary lines in option 4. I'm looking at actually all of them, and that's adding more people to that district, right?
100 less. Yeah. Ultimately, the sum total is no, it's not adding people because no, there are 3 precincts moving in, but there are others moving elsewhere. So it's not going to, it's resulting in 100 people less.
So.
And the reason for that is precinct 20,002.
So in February 2022, February the 1st, we voted on an option. So why are we changing it?
Why are you changing it now?
The options. Why are we changing? We voted on an option in February 2022.
That's right. You're doing it again because of the Green disannexation.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Because of the Green disannexation, because the boundaries of the district are now different.
The boundaries of the district are what?
Are different. As of January 1 of this year, Green Township is no longer in South Bend schools.
Okay,
So those voters got removed.
okay.
But the clarification, I think, not to put words in your mouth,
Yeah.
what did the board in 22 approve? If now we're,
President Green, that was
It-
from the census data, we had to rebalance from every 10 years. So that was the census rebalancing. And then this year with
That's right.
losing green
Thank-
creates another inequity in the balance, so that this is to alleviate that imbalance.
thank you for that clarification. Exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Nella.
So let me ask a quick question. I just want clarification. So let me ask a quick question. So in your information that you sent us. So in here, it said that the county commissioners also changed their boundary lines?
They did following the census.
Okay, so if they changed their boundary lines and they're voting where people can vote, are we aligning with that? Are we aligning with their voting lines?
Yes, the South Bend schools electoral districts must align with the precincts that have been created by the county. Yes,
So our voting lines will align with theirs?
yes, ma'am.
All right, just asking. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I guess we're ready to call the question? Ms. Hernandez.
Or do it option 4. Mr. Anello,
Aye.
Ms. Ball,
Aye.
Mr. Costello,
Aye.
Dr. Green,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
Ms. McCullough,
We vote on option 4?
Yes.
Aye.
Ms. Wesley.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We have another 10.01. We have nothing to report from our closed session. And we're moving toward the championship game. So let me quickly mention 11.0. I know, 11.01. We now have come to the point when board members have the opportunity to speak. So I will allow.
The way you look
I
at
will
me, I
pass
think
that
it,
along.
I think you're saying I have this opportunity now.
You have this opportunity now.
Okay. Real quickly, first of all, I apologize for Kenar Robinson, the principal at Washington High School, because I was going to share with people. I was invited to a session that he had with all seniors who were behind it on credit last spring, or in February, I should say, and with the parents and the students, and gave the parents and students an inspirational speech that I've never heard of before, to be honest with you. He just did a marvelous job of trying to convince these young students or high school students who are on the verge of seniors graduating, but they didn't have the credits to graduate. And like I said, he just did a really wonderful job of contacting and being eye to eye with parents and students. And I want to commend him for that, because that's part of what I was trying to get across, that these principals work very, very hard and very dedicated. But I don't want to forget the teachers involved. Our teachers in this school corporation don't get enough credit. They work under some really tough situations sometimes. And believe me, they are the real backbone of what we have. Now, we couldn't do it without the people we had in front of us tonight. But it's really the teachers out there that we need to support, especially at the elementary level. And as students get older, in their performance with these people so that they can give them the skills, the academic skills to be successful in the future. We'll never make it. We will never make it. I don't care what you say. We'll never make it if we don't put a lot of emphasis in those elementary level skills so that kids can be successful at the high school level. I want to close by telling you about a person who is in the front page of the South Bend Tribune today, a personal friend of mine. In fact, he's more just a personal friend. His name is Ray Melikar, and he's been a teacher in South Bend, or was a teacher in South Bend for over 40 years. Did an excellent job in the classroom, and I was one of his students. And it reminded me of an article in Times Magazine, the Team of the Year. And it states, this is a statement, I don't like to get into slogans and stuff because they're kind of artificial at times, but this isn't. It states the peak of human potential is helping others reach their full potential. That's what Ray Melikar did to me, or for me. And I'll never forget it. Like I said, he was my 7th and 8th grade teacher. He was always there to support me, and I know that's the reason why I went into the field of education. And I just hope and pray that I have done this for other students as well. God bless this board and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you.
Comment?
Of course.
I'd like to make a comment. Thank you, Dr. Green. So let me just say this, as we enter the new year, and I'd like to say to Dr. Green, Board President Dr. Green, that I hope that in the future that we can change some things that's happening here. Number one, we were elected on this board by the people in the community. We didn't get here by osmosis. We were elected to get here. And so we have to answer to our constituents. So saying that, let me say this. When we have things in front of us to vote on, we have to have all of the information that we need to have in order to carry out that option, that voting. So anytime you have something on the personnel list, and you know it's going to, and you're asking us to vote on that personnel list, please make sure that we receive all of the information regarding the information in that personnel list so that we can truly vote, give you an honest vote. When someone is presenting at the table here, we have to, our job is to speak in the public, not behind closed doors. When someone is presenting here and we ask a question, they should be allowed to answer that question, and not like the years before when we receive an email. We need to have those folks to come here. They should be equipped to answer questions when they're sitting at that table. We should know the answers to the questions, and so should the public. And the board should know everything that's happening in this corporation. We may not be directly involved, but we are responsible for anything that takes place in this corporation. We are responsible. The buck stops with this board. Even though we have one employee, everything falls back on this board, if you look at the bylaws. My last comment is that, well, I'm gonna let someone else speak for now, and then I'll come back to my comment.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Lee.
Just a shout out to South Bend Adams alum Shaq Van, who is, I have to look because I can't remember what his offensive assistant coach for Washington. So he'll be coaching tonight. So when you get home, turn on that game and look for Shaq on the sideline. Pretty exciting, I think, that we have an Adams Eagle coaching.
We didn't mention that. We
Championship
will
game.
have to mention it. Mrs. Ball? Anybody else?
I'd like to say something.
Yes, as always.
Yes, as always, we made it through the first semester.
We did.
So now our students are halfway there. So to all of our students and staff and everyone that works for our Southfield Schools, Dr. Cummings, your cabinet, everyone is. Parents, stakeholders, everybody. Just thank you. We're not gonna make everybody happy, but we have so much to be thankful for. Very proud of our students and those who needed extra help. This is, they're halfway there. And we can capture them and get them across the finish line. So as always, I just like to put that pin in there and say thank you. And to the public that have been emailing me and texting me since we've been during the meeting. No, personnel matters are not to be discussed in open forum. As a board member, we have an opportunity to have one-on-one opportunities to speak with the superintendent. We get our board documents on between the Thursday and Friday before the meeting. Board members have an opportunity to call and ask questions prior to. Personnel is what is called, it's personal. And so this is not an open forum for debate about someone that is hired, maybe terminated, dismissed. There's procedures. So we have to follow those procedures. That's the law. This is Indiana law. And so those of you that are listening, Mrs. McCullough, my colleague, is correct about some open questions. She's absolutely correct. When we start talking about instruction, we start talking about curriculum, we're talking about contracts. Those discussions are open. We welcome everyone to definitely, ask questions, but personnel issues, there is a due process, there's protocol. And so I've been on the board 7 years, and this is the first time that we've had a situation like this. And so I'd just like to say to the public, that is not protocol for us to discuss any personnel matters in public. Thank you. Everybody have a great evening.
I'll just add, thank you, board, and thank you for everyone who offered some comments. We're working increasingly more to share what we're learning as a board with the public. And so I just want to announce that I have to take Ms. Lee's fire wing as the chair of the Performance Monitoring Committee, but we're going to be meeting on January 11th in the third floor conference room to discuss some relevant issues. And we will continue to work toward more public work sessions where there'll be more interaction. And I think that's one of the things that we've tried to listen to, and the audience's sense that we're here, we don't respond. I think as a board, feel that we should respond. And so we'll begin to give you some dates for evenings when we will discuss issues and when there will be lots of opportunities for back and forth. So it's not just the board talking, but offering insight into some of the issues that we've been discussing. Literacy comes to mind, and the important work that the literacy department has been doing under Ms. Robinson's directorship. The model that you heard tonight for graduation is a model that's being used for literacy instruction, reaching out to individuals. So I heard earlier someone say it's not just about graduation rates. Of course, it's not just about graduation rates, but they go hand in hand with the very things Mr. Costello was saying, that we're teaching kids to read, to improve their skills, and to get to a point where they can graduate on different pathways. So I just wanted to mention those are the sorts of things that we would like to discuss that would also serve as updates for when we talk about an issue. People often wonder, well, what's going on? we'd like to be able to address that in public meetings. So with that, thank you again for coming. Our next meeting, as we noted, is on the 22nd of January, and it's at the Administration Building downtown. And according to Ms. Lee, we're all supposed to be watching the Washington team
Yes.
play
Go
the
Roosters.
team whose name will not be mentioned. Oh. Good night, everyone. Drive safely.